I did want to speak about here because I think about that film, your film, is he almost plays like, if it's a horror film, almost like the monster or the antagonist of this story in some ways. I think you make him relatable, but also then there's moments where you're conflicted about him. And what was that like? How did you like? How early on did you know that you wanted to get him in your movie? And also, how did you reach out to him?
Well, the first the first time I saw one of his videos, I was like, whoa, this looks like a Rob Zombie movie being projected on the Titanic while it's going down. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And he, for people that are listening that don't know, Russ McKamey of McKamey Manor. So this guy has this haunt that it's an extreme haunt that has no safe word. So there's no way of getting out. This is the only one in the world. Everyone else in the world has the sense to have a safe word. Okay, had enough. You say the safe word, they let you out. Well, this guy doesn't. And I saw his videos, and he had I don't know, 20 hours of videos online, and I was looking at them, and I was wondering, are these real? Are they real, or is there? It's hard to tell what you're looking at because it's so crazy. And I just made me really curious, who is making this? Who's doing this? What's his normal life like? Does he have a day job? What does he do? Because you just look at that kind of thing, and it's like the movie The Strangers. It's like, well, who are the people under that mask, and what did they do before they terrorized that house? What was their day? What did they have for lunch that day? I'm curious. You know what I mean? And so with Russ, I sent him an email and reached out to him. Told him I have a documentary. I'd love to include him. He calls me at like midnight, and he's like, he puts on a creepy voice. He's like, "This is Russ McKamey." I was like, "No, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. I really want to just talk to you." And it's like, "You're talking to me." I'm like, "All right, knock it off." And we talked, and he was very concerned. He's like, "I don't want anyone filming what I do. He only wants to show what he wants you to see. That's why his videos are edited the way they are." But then we talked, and I finally convinced him to let me go down and film him for a weekend. And I brought a waiver. It's the agreement. So it's basically giving me permission to film. I said, "Here's the deal. I'll film you for a weekend. If you like what's going on, sign it. If not, I'll get rid of the footage." I thought I'd give it a shot and see what he did. And I explained to him how he would probably come off in the movie. And I was telling him, like, the first time people see you in the movie, they're going to think you're nuts. The second time, they'll probably think you're crazier than the first time they saw you in the movie. And then at one point in the movie, I want to show at least something relatable. Just anything about you as a person. That way people can go, "Oh, this is a person." And then I just want to be able to show, again, what is it you do, so that people are either they have a full picture of him and can judge him and his haunt, not by one piece of information or by someone just making an expose, but by seeing the truth of something, seeing the full picture of it. And he liked that idea a lot. And there's a reason why I don't narrate the movie, because if I narrated the film, it would have been abusive to have me narrate the film. You don't need to hear my point of view. You need to make up your own mind. And what's funny is there are people who watch the movie that someone said to me, "Hey, that's like a love letter to McKamey Manor." I was like, "Really?" And other people were like, thousands of other people took themselves off of his wait list to go to his haunt because they saw the movie. And of course, you'll get always one or two people who went, "Oh, now I really want to do it." But my feeling is, if you show people who somebody is, and it was really amazing to actually get to know him and we found out what his day job was. The fact that he's a wedding singer. I mean, that was I did not expect
That was great. That was a great moment. Yeah.
Great moment. And they were not telling me about that. And when I found out that,
And you would never have thought that. You would just, you wouldn't look at that guy that's doing it.
but look at how he was being a wedding DJ too. When he's singing, he puts his arms around people, he grabs people, he's hands on, and goes all the way to the max at being a wedding singer. The way he goes way too far being a haunter. He's just like, and he's very charismatic. You know, he's very, you know, look, I have to say, look, the McKamey Manor is, you know, it's insane. It's totally insane that it even exists. And the fact that he made these videos that, you know, he considers himself more of a director than a haunter. But then you look at his videos and it's like, wow, some of his videos have 20 million views and thousands of comments where people are arguing about what they're seeing. It's fascinating. So, but we did uncover, and I wasn't even trying to uncover, I was just trying to get to the heart of the truth. And we end up uncovering really interesting things about who works there, why they wanted to work there, and what it's like when he's filming you. Because when you watch his videos of his haunt, there's that bright spotlight on people. And you're like, how can that be scary at all? There's a guy with a video camera taking pictures of you the whole time. But then when you see my movie and you go, oh, that's terrifying. It's like you're in a haunt, but you can barely see because you're being blinded by a spotlight and someone taking pictures, you know, saying very creepy things to you, who refuses to let you out. It feels like it was terrifying because when you're blinded by that light, it's hard to see what's around you. I don't know. It was really scary. I mean, I had nightmares for months after I filmed at McKamey Manor.
Was that the hardest part of the documentary?
Forest, dude.
Right.
McKamey Manor, like, I can't film what it smells like. I can't film. Look, it was tough, man. I would come home, you know, 1 or 2 in the morning. He was 2.5 hours away from me. So I'd get on the freeway, drive 2.5 hours, get there first thing in the morning to get them setting up, film what's going on. They're finished like around midnight. Then I have to drive back home. And when I get home, I have to like get hosed off by my wife because I smelled so bad because of the haunt. And oh, look, the one thing that happened that's not in the film that was really wild was Christina Buster. She's in the movie for a moment. She's the one wearing the panda out onesie. Russ makes everyone wear a Halloween costume, a Halloween onesie. So it really makes it feel like a real version of Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, because remember he dressed them all up in those kind of onesies.
Right.
When they were, it's just like that. And anyways, she had traveled. She's an American contract worker who spends most of her time working in Kuwait, in Iraq. And so she flew 19 hours to go to McKamey Manor for her vacation. And during her time in the haunt, at one point she went into shock, and she wasn't responding to anything. And I said to Russ, I'm like, I think she's gone into shock. He's like, really? And I just kind of waved my hand, and I realized she is not responding at all. I picked her up. I put down my camera like a terrible documentarian. I put my camera down. I picked her up and put her in the house and put her on the couch. 30 minutes later, she wakes up. She snaps out of it. I mean, the whole time her eyes were open, by the way. The whole time her eyes were open. But 30 minutes later, she snaps out of it and she goes, why am I not in the haunt anymore? I said, what do you mean? I'm like, you went into shock. She went, I flew 19 hours for this. How dare you? How dare you pulled me out? What a ripoff. And then Russ comes in and he's completely changed his demeanor. And he's like, how you doing? And she's like, you know, fuck you. Put me back in that haunt. I can't believe you took me out. He's like, what did you just say? She's like, I want to go back in that haunt right now. And she's yelling. He's like, you really want to go back in? He's like, yeah, this time don't take it so easy on me. And I said, whoa, stop all of this. this is insane. I was not about making my movie at that point. I was like thinking, she's going to get murdered. She's pissing him off. He runs back to the haunt, turns on all the sound effects again, and then comes running after her, picks her up, and runs back in the haunt. And then I was like, oh my God. When it was over, she then went back to McKamey Manor 2 more times. So I stopped at that moment projecting my feelings on what people, on like what's going on in McKamey Manor. Like, I'm like, okay, it's not for me, but it was for her, And so when people were freaking out and panicking, I was like, all right, I have to just take myself out of this and film what's happening. But what I'm really proud of is that we stayed to hear what people said at the end of going through and the reasons why they wanted to work there. And I'm also really proud that I wanted to show the people who went through it the raw footage of the video of them going through McKamey Manor. They hadn't seen it yet. And I'm filming their reactions of themselves going through the haunt. Really was mind-blowing and chilling. And look, when you don't have a safe word, it's, Russ kept saying things like, because there's no safe word, it's like a marathon, and I'm taking you across the finish line, and you're like a champion. I said, no. Actually, if you can't make it physically through a marathon, you stop. I'm like, if you just dragged me through a marathon, I don't feel like I would feel like I accomplished something. I feel like someone dragged me beyond the point of where I should be going. But with a safe word, whenever you use a safe word in an extreme haunt, you actually have a sense of accomplishment because it's like, oh, that's how far I can make it. I wonder how far I can make it if I go again. I wonder, like, it gives you the feeling of control. And as long as you have control and you can stop it whenever you want to, that's what protects us from getting traumatized. That's what protects us from having a PTSD experience. That's what makes it fun, scary, and not, the kind of scary that haunts you for the rest of your life, So it's
Is that the reason you would? I don't know. Did he ever offer you to go through it, or would you do it?
He offered me. No, I would never do it. Never do it. I didn't join a fraternity because I didn't want to be hazed. Why would I go through this? I mean, look at it. I would bring up fraternities a lot too, because you think about it. No one's ever died going through McKamey Manor. There was a heart attack, but no one's ever died. People die all the time in fraternities and sororities when they pledge. I'm not like giving an excuse. It's just funny that there are these, fraternities and sororities, which I consider to be extreme haunts in prestigious institutions. But Russ is, look, when you do or you don't have a safe word, okay? So if you just have a haunt, you're at the mercy of the judgment of the person in charge of that experience. That the same way that, someone who created a roller coaster, you're hoping that real professionals worked on that roller coaster.
Yeah.
You want to make sure, when I go to an elevator, I want to make sure this is a real elevator, right? People, I want to make sure this is like put together well. And when there's no safe word at McKamey Manor, then you're stuck with what? You're stuck with the mercy of the judgment of him and the people that are working there. And, for the most part, you don't know anything about them. And with my movie, you learn more about it. And look, I don't care who the person is. They don't know you. They don't know what you're thinking or feeling. They don't know if this is too much for you. Only you know that. That's why we have a safe word in extreme haunts. That's why these types of attractions have to have one. So it's
Do you think that's some of the appeal for some of the people that go through it, because there is no safe word? They want to feel like they're powerless maybe and have that experience to see. Do you think that's sort of the appeal of that manner? And
I think the appeal of McKamey Manor was more that he's making these movies that millions of people are watching, and you get to be the star of your own horror movie. Especially the way Russ edited them together and added the music, and look, he it really looked amazing. He made these really scary movies with these people in them. But the issue is, you don't know what it's going to feel like when they grab you. You don't know how you're going to react to those things. You don't know, that after a few minutes that you're like, oh no, I got to get out of here, and they're not going to let you out. He would let people out. There was some people he let out after 10 minutes because they clearly couldn't continue. But even the people who only lasted 10 minutes, it's not like it was 10 minutes and then it's over. It's something that stays with you because you didn't have any control over being able to leave or not. That's not like if you're really stressed out afraid, then your fists are balled up, right? And you're tense. And that's not fun. You're not able to have any catharsis. You're not able to scream and have any release because you're not, there's no scream followed by a laugh, is what I'm saying. When you can get out whenever you want to, you can scream, you can laugh, you can freak out, but you have one foot where you're like, maybe I should jump out of here. And it actually makes it more of a fun and almost therapeutic experience. I call it scarapy, the therapeutic value of being scared. And it's true. Like, I love getting scarapy because I love to go somewhere where I'm going to scream my head off, freak out, laugh, really, like Shar said, be a kid again. There's very few times in society where an adult is allowed to act this way. And it's really freeing when you find something that can entertain you at so many different levels and give you the illusion of danger, but without the actual danger. If you have the illusion of danger and the ability to stop it at any moment, that's a real exciting adventure for your mind and an interesting rite of passage.
One of the things about the film as well is I when I feel like I've watched a really great documentary or something, I always become obsessed, or even just a film in general, I get obsessed and I start looking up online about it. And I looked online about haunters, and I remember a lot of the conversation, and there was people back and forth arguing about Russ.
So a lot of back and
was there ever any, like, because I've seen a lot of backlash against him and what he's doing. Was it any of that ever affected you? Did it? Any people? Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. I got death threats. I got people calling me late at night, threatening me with lawsuits that weren't even real, and I didn't know. Someone calls you late at night and says, you've been named in a lawsuit and we're coming after you, and it's like, oh God, that sounds horrible. It's like, or like people calling and saying, if you keep filming at McKamey Manor, and then just saying some kind of a crazy threat.